you want delivered?
Oh, no.
The sand and stuff. Okay, so you have to start.
Yeah, I mean, the practice.
The meeting will call to order, excuse me, the meeting will come to order at 7. I'm gonna put, board member on speaker as agreed to. If he answers, if he doesn't, we'll continue without him. Our management company is on her way. She's delayed in traffic. I apologize on her behalf, but she will be here. And I'd like to turn the meeting over to our secretary for a roll call and introduction of the board.
We'll enter in the minutes, the formal minutes that all duly elected board members are here, with the exception of Alan Medjbo, Ted Mello, and Randy Kubak. And Randy is hopefully in transit to be here. We'll note his attendance to be so arrives. Before we proceed, as I have done in previous meetings in the months of January and February, we are recording this meeting. It's only being recorded for the purpose of making sure the minutes as recorded are accurate. We do print out a transcript of the recording, and that transcript and recording both are either shredded or deleted once the meeting minutes are approved formally at the next board meeting. For obvious reasons, trying to store this information. I am going to ask, is there any other recordings being made so we can enter that in the record as well, other than when David is making the video audio on the tripod right by Linda?
Could you speak a little bit louder?
Yeah, I'm saying, I'm going to also ask, are any other recordings, either video or audio, being made, so we can enter that into the record, other than the one David is making for the board that's on the tripod next to Linda?
Right.
Sir, you're recording?
Good.
The next minutes, David?
Okay, without Randy here, we do not have a financial report other than to say the information from Rhonda, our management, to the treasurer, Randy, has been received, and he was auditing those and was going to present those tonight. So unfortunately, without either Rhonda or Randy here, that information is not available to me to share. So I'd like to move on to the approval of the minutes in the past. Excuse me, ask Randy Kubek right there. Randy, I've got you on speakerphone. The meeting has started, and we're to the treasury report. Are you able to report on the treasury condition at this time?
Sure. Based on the January 31-19 non-reviewed financial statements that were provided to me, we've got cash on hand of approximately $175,000. So our liquidity is solid. We have a surplus of approximately $4,300 for the month of January. We have not completed the February financials yet, as well as the 12/31/18 year-end review financials. The review has not started on 2018 financials. That's it.
All right, I appreciate it. I'm going to keep you on speaker for the meeting. Is that okay?
I'm working away here, guys. That's okay.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so we'll continue on with minutes, and back to Paul.
Minutes have been provided to the board for both the December, January, and the February meetings. Are there any additions to corrections to those minutes?
Not other than previously submitted.
I have two corrections. On the January meeting, the January minutes, the meeting was adjourned at 8:25 p.m., not 5:25 p.m. And on the February minutes that I prepared, the notice of meeting took place 15 days in advance, not 48 hours, as I stated. Those will be corrected and entered accordingly.
Okay, thank you.
Question.
Excuse me, we're going to proceed forward. We'll have
Okay,
questions
that's
at the
fine.
end.
I just want, were they completed? I was taking notes, I'm sorry. Did he say that the December, January, and February minutes were completed?
Yes,
Yes, thank you. So they're available?
They're in draft form.
they're in draft form.
No,
The
they have
corrections
They're
not
will
not
be-
available?
Correct.
They will be, I'll make available the corrections to Rhonda tomorrow.
Okay, I'm going to continue on. Under old business, we have board ratification of previous votes taken at the February 7th, 2019 meeting that were not specifically identified as being a vote taken, but were duly noticed in the minutes. There was an approval of placement of a lockbox on the office door, and there was the approval of 304 change requests for window replacement after architectural review. You wanna make a motion? Okay, Rhonda is joining us now. So I'm gonna have Rhonda caught up to speed. Randy, are you still there?
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
While we're waiting, could you tell me again what that first thing was that was being ratified? I'm sorry,
Sure.
Hard to hear you guys.
Yeah, I want you guys to speak up.
I hear it hum back here too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's in writing.
I hear it on hand,
Just in
I
case
just-
I missed something.
okay. I just didn't, I don't hear.
I can understand. No problem. Okay, we're on board ratification. So the board elects to ratify the previous votes that were taken at the duly noticed meeting February 7th of 2019. Because the meeting did not specify specifically on the agenda that a vote would be taking place. And under new business, we had the approval of placement of lockbox on the office door and the approval of 304 sliding glass doors change requests for window replacement after review by the architectural task force. Okay? So you can, could I hear a motion to ratify the votes that were previously taken at the duly noted meeting? Not yet. Could, anybody wants to make a motion to that effect? Okay, there's been a motion made on the floor that needs a second to proceed forward.
I will second.
Okay, the motion was made by Izzy, seconded by Paul to ratify the votes taken February 7th as noted in the agenda. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. The motion carries unanimously with those board members present as noted. Randy, did you vote? Abstain, Randy. Okay, under new business, there's to be a vote on a new boat slip lease. Okay, I would like to open up that part of this meeting, if it's okay with the board, to go forward with a new lease that's being introduced. And I wanted to bring out the new lease as presented to the board members already. You have it in your packet in the very back page of March. The boat leases that were signed in 2017 are being replaced effective 2019. The reason behind the replacement is that the boat leases in 2017 were found to be not enforceable and not legal. The new leases have gone through the attorney, they have been reviewed and corrected, and these are the wording as per our attorney to adopt the new leases with the minimal amount of changes required to meet the test of legality. I would like anybody to review these leases that hasn't done so. You should have all had these in your packet. You can review them and find out. And if there is any question or motion,
Could I look at it?
yeah. Can I get a motion to vote on the leases as per the agenda item?
You did state that the attorney had reviewed these.
He submitted this to, yes.
Is it possible for you just to tell us what changes
Absolutely.
have been made?
There's been 2 witnesses added as required by Florida law under signature. There's been terminology as to the length of the leases being shortened to 6 years instead of 7 years. There's been terminology about proof of ownership. I mean, it's certainly right there, but
Those three?
those 3, and there's one more. Cliff, you want to summarize them? I don't have it in front of me anymore.
I'll give it to you. I can't read it that fast.
That's okay. There is a clause put in here about the termination of the lease that was in there for 90 days, that would be enforced only if there's a waiting list and other people want a slip?
What
In order
number
not-
is that? I have the list here. What number you're talking about?
On the agenda,
No, on the list. The list you have numbers.
item number 2,
Okay, good. Much easier for me to follow. Thank
sorry.
you.
And item number 3 added language that the watercraft will be in compliance with governmental regulations. It's to clean up the legality. And item number 5 identifies the date that the rent is due. And then under conditions of use, there was language that was inappropriate, and it was cleaned up to say, if a unit owner lessee vacates or leases their unit, that was the change, instead of moves out of the unit and leases it to another. And item number 11 talks about involuntary termination of lease, changing it from 60 days to 10 days after due date, or otherwise notice is given after the applicable 30-day written notice has been issued, after the applicable waiting time has expired of 90 days. And then the notice section in number 17 changed the word from office to property manager, because we don't have a manager on site in an office. And that a copy of the lease, number 18, a copy of the lease is available. Instead of saying in the condominium office, it will say from the association, whether it be the property manager or the board. But it would be from the association, not a specific address, as in the condominium office. Yeah, these leases will be distributed to each leaseholder,
Current leaseholder.
current leaseholder that has a unenforceable lease at this time for releasing the slip, if they choose to do so, which we assume everybody will want to continue leasing
And
their
all
slip.
current leases are unenforceable.
That is correct. They are not legal.
For what
To the-
reason?
We made these changes, and the other lease was, didn't have the proper witnesses on it. Most of the leases that were signed,
And Cliff, I've got an entire legal opinion from our attorney I'll be happy to share with you.
but a lot of
So
them
you know.
weren't signed. A lot of them just were not witnessed and signed properly. That's why this is where it came from. Some of them
And
just
I'll
were
be
signed,
happy
some
to
of
share
them
with that
weren't.
with you one-on-one anytime at all.
Okay, but we're just in the process of you're describing what this thing is, so that's the only reason I'm speaking up.
I understand.
To
They
make
were
sure
found to
I
be
understand.
ineffective. The 3 major problems that he found, their lack of witnesses as required by Florida state law for multi-year leases, not a single year lease, 12-month lease, multi-year leases, and improper execution of the lease. Several were not dated. There was one not signed at all. Improper lack of a commencement date. There was not a date.
Okay,
So there are several legal issues that were raised by our attorney to address that. He recommended the changes to clean it up and make them effective.
and are you saying that the term of the lease has changed from 7 years to 6 years?
That is correct.
So for those who sign these new leases, will any of them at that point have a longer period of lease than they had under the old lease?
Under the old lease, the longest period they had legally was 12 months. So yes, this will go to 6 years. Absolutely.
I thought the previous leases were 7 years.
They were invalid. They were valid for 1 year, only
Okay,
12
they were
months
valid.
per the legal.
Right.
Yes, so the answer is yes. That's correct. And I'll be happy to go over this with you anytime. I don't have a problem at all, but I'd like to move through the meeting if we can. So there's been a motion on the floor by Ben to accept the leases, and then a second by Paul, and now I'll move to take a vote. All those in favor of accepting the new leases for the attorney representing the association, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Randy? Aye.
Thank you.
The vote is unanimous with no dissents. Okay, the next order.
I'd like to make a motion at this point,
Okay.
for number 3, bullet number 3. 3,
Okay.
which is to delay any discussions of rules and regulations or new security cameras without further advice from the attorney. So he can advise us what course of action we have to take.
Okay. We have a motion on the floor. Is there anybody to second that motion?
I'll second the motion.
Okay, Paul seconded the motion. Any discussion on this motion? Randy? Okay,
I didn't hear,
okay,
I'll repeat the motion, Randy. I'm gonna repeat the motion, Randy. Making a motion to delay any discussion of rules and regulations or new security cameras without further advice from the attorney and the course of action that we must take.
that's a yay.
Okay,
okay.
so we'd like to
We've
vote
had
on
a
that.
vote, we've had a vote of 1 yea. The rest of the members, the rest of the board of directors, please vote.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
It's unanimous, the motion passes, the vote passes. And last, there's a discussion of an alleged, quote, secret meeting, quote, and public posting of confidential association materials or information. And I'm gonna turn the floor over to Paul.
On Monday afternoon.
Oh, you gotta speak up, some of these guys can't hear.
On Monday afternoon, after being in Kentucky on an extended for the last 2.5 weeks on both personal and business-oriented business, so to speak, in flying transit back to Florida, Monday afternoon from Atlanta, I accessed my email for the purposes of reviewing any business email that might have come in since I left the hotel on Monday morning. Subsequent to that, I also made the mistake of accessing my personal email. At which time it was an email there from a resident of this building stating that I had participated in a secret meeting. I immediately responded to that person stating I had no knowledge of the secret meeting. I did not attend the secret meeting. Very simple. It's as honest as I can be. I had no knowledge of a secret meeting. I did not attend a secret meeting. When I returned to the parking lot, pulled in the parking lot around 5:30, the person who initiated that email was exiting the building as I was entering the building. I immediately approached that person and said, "Did you get my email response?" That, again, I am not aware of any meeting that was deemed to be secret, nor did I attend any meeting that were deemed to be secret. That person immediately told me that I had done such a thing and that it would been recorded and posted on YouTube. Needless to say, I'm very upset that a meeting would be secretly recorded, and I think everyone in this building should be upset that a meeting would be secretly recorded. What is being recorded right now that we don't know about at any floor, any location in this building? Think about that. You want your private conversations around the pool being recorded? We announced that these meetings are recorded, and so, excuse me, but it took me for a while to finally realize what secret meeting was being talked about. And the other attendees of this so-called secret meeting are at this table with the exception of Randy, and he's joining us by phone. And I would ask them to correct anything that I might say that's not correct. Please do so, because I have not looked at the tape. I don't intend to look at the tape. The things I do remember is that the meeting had adjourned and David and I were sitting at the end of the table. I think the table was an L-shaped formation that evening, maybe it always is. For whatever reason, I remember that Rhonda was not in attendance at the meeting. It was the February meeting. What's interesting, the tape I understand is of the February meeting, but the picture is from the January meeting unless one of us was wearing red heels. And I think the only person who wore red heels probably was Rhonda, and she was at the January meeting, not the February meeting. And another person who was not at the February meeting, who was a director, who was not in attendance tonight, his face was whited out. So the information really wasn't correct totally correct, who was there and who wasn't. But anyway, that doesn't matter. Again, the issue is recording a meeting or any conversation without notifying those persons that meeting was being recorded. Let me say emphatically, nothing nefarious was intended. Mistakes maybe were made, but I said nothing nefarious. I'm talking fairly loud. I don't know what's going on here, but there is an echo here. nothing nefarious was attended. What I do remember, like I was starting to say, is I remember Izzy and Ben and Randy were standing behind Alan and I, David and I, as we were sitting. I don't know what issues precipitated us having a further conversation. I don't remember what was an open item discussion.
Could have been a non-board item.
It was a non-board item, it was an agenda item. Again, there was nothing secret about it. I do remember making the comment that we had to be very careful about, I don't think I said very careful, we had the issue of being in executive session, which is under Florida statutes, as I understand it, is not permitted. How I know that, when I first joined the board, in a meeting I had with Alan, an informal meeting, based on my business experience, I referenced executive sessions as a way perhaps we could streamline some of the board process.
Correct.
That was the only reason I referenced that. And I was told by Florida statutes that could not take place. All meetings had to be agenda-driven, called meeting with advance notice. It did state, and I think I understand the recording does state that my voice says something about an executive session meeting. That was to remind those five of us standing there that we could not discuss any board-related business that might be construed as executive session.
Right.
I also remember, and I think it was David, but I'm not sure, stating, well, how does that apply if three of us might be out by the pool, not planning to be around the pool, and we're having a beer or smoking a cigar, whatever three guys might do, and we start talking about business issues, not intentionally, but whatever that might be. Is that construed as a meeting? And it's my understanding that's not a forum, so it's not, but I could be wrong. Again, some of that, and I think that statement was made in jest. It's not like we're gonna go out by the pool and conduct business. Now, on that night, if that was a secret meeting, I might not be the brightest, but I'm not gonna be there in an open forum where people that had attended the meeting as owners could see us. The lights were on. We didn't go behind closed doors in there. We didn't go to my apartment. We didn't go out at the grill area trying to hide from anything. And I don't remember any of the content that was discussed. But the bigger issue is that rather than come to us, individually or collectively as the board, and say, I am concerned that perhaps an executive session meeting took place, would you please explain that? No one ever approached me. I haven't asked any of you a question.
No.
Did such a meeting take place?
No.
I'm admitting, I used the word executive session, but in the context of trying to, I won't say, that's over dramatic to say I was trying to protect the board. I just had thought during that time frame that Alan had told me that was not permissible under Florida statute. So I
There
was
was
just
no secret
to
meeting.
be cautionary, but so this morning I thought I haven't used the Merriam dictionary in a long time, Merriam-Webster dictionary. I went up and looked up the word secret. There is no definition of secret, which is a long list. I was surprised how many definitions of secret there are that would apply to this situation. So, with that being said, I don't remember us, in the future, I'm gonna shake hands at the conclusion of the meeting where I would normally talk to some people and return to my apartment, if that's the type of situation, I guess, and check for recording devices on the way.
Okay.
But we better be careful if we're gonna permit this type of activity. And I'm not the only one that should be concerned about this. Everyone in this room should be concerned about this, and everyone in this building should be concerned about this.
Yeah.
There's many days, I don't know why, excuse my language, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know why in the hell I did this. I did not ask to be on this board. I was asked by the former president to run for the board. And I was surprised that I was elected. Then when I was elected, I received a phone call because I was in Kentucky for the holidays, stating that I was elected as secretary. I did not seek that position either,
Good job, though.
but I accepted it. Last year, I was asked to chair the budget committee. I didn't seek that job either, but I accepted it. And I was criticized for that because I asked someone by the name of Randy Kubak to serve as an ad hoc member because Randy is a CPA and a CFO of a major company in the Tampa area. It only made sense to me that you seek advice of people that know more than you do. That's been a business philosophy of mine since I started business. And I don't mind admitting what I don't know, especially when you can get answers from someone that does know. And that's how the budget process was done. So while we're doing this, based on the so-called secret meeting and having that posted on video with our pictures, I will never know why any of us have to resign.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you, Paul, appreciate it.
As president, I wanted to say that there was no intent of malice, no intent of this board to hold anything in secret. We have attempted to be transparent to every homeowner throughout our entire tenure, trying to change our administration so that it can build trust in this community once again and function above board with everything decided as a community for all of the residents to enjoy the common areas, the parking areas, all of the amenities of this building and its community, not to be selectively enforced. I realize it seems that way to several individual people, but we encourage you to approach us one-on-one. We do not ascribe to the fact of blast emails. We don't subscribe to secret meetings, secret tape recordings, anything done in secret. If we made a mistake, we own up to it. I apologize to everyone here and the rest of the owners that if what we did was wrong and we have been told what we did is wrong, I apologize for it. It will not happen again. No board decisions were made, no motions were made, no objectives were in order, and there was nothing out of that quote secret meeting. I would like to put that to rest and move on.
Moved on.
Approvals. May I state one other
I
statement?
appreciate Paul's candor and his honesty and David's as well. But I do want to put it on record, absolutely shocked that a resident would take it upon themselves to deem something that it was not a secret meeting, to post it online in a viral format. What kind of individual does that?
Thank you.
Quite honestly.
Okay, thank you, Randy.
Thank you, Randy.
We're gonna move
We're
on.
almost done, Randy, to hang on a
Brief
second.
comment.
Go ahead.
Okay, just about to give you a shake. I think we need to re-emphasize the process of dealing with complaints from owners or whatever communication. I used to pride myself on responding to any and all emails I got. I will no longer do that. I'm not reading most of them.
It's gotten to a point.
It's
that
got to
out
the
of
point
hand.
we can't. I'm going to get another server.
No, we don't need to respond to
And
emails.
in
If
my
there's an
rules and
issue-
regulations, we don't have to do that either.
Right.
And so you can't be a nice person. If you read some of the emails I got, it turns you into a vile person because you don't want to deal with it. So unfortunately, you're going to have to submit those to the property manager, God bless her.
Good luck.
Yeah, and for
That's
any
where it's gonna
complaints you
go,
have,
though.
then we'll deal with them aboard in unison in a formal meeting. I'm not going to take the chance of responding to anything.
No, we're not responding. The board doesn't, individuals or private emails.
That's
which
not
are,
my
you know,
style,
don't
but
have to be responded
after
to.
this, there's no way I'm responding to anything.
But again, every one of us up here represents homeowners as a whole, and we are approachable individually for any issue any homeowner has at any time. So
It
I wanna
doesn't have
make
to be
sure-
brought to the board. A lot of these things are private and individual issues. Bring it up to the individual, him or her. It doesn't, it's, I'm just using an example. If the dog poops outside, it's not a board problem. Bring it to the individual who has the dog. I'm a dog owner. If there's a problem, bring it to me. If it's an issue with the light bulb, bring it to Rhonda. Bring it up to an individual. It doesn't have to be viral. Great word. It doesn't have to be thrown around and put together virally. And if there's an issue that somebody has, which it shouldn't have many, we're a small community of 65 people, give or take 40 units or whatever. You have an issue, bring it up to the person. Everybody here is in somewhat of a manner of an adult. They're not kids here, so bring it up individually. If not, hold it to yourself. It shouldn't be a big issue in a small community.
thank you. I'm gonna call that.
And I'd like to reiterate that too. Thanks, Izzy, for clarifying that. Certainly, you shouldn't be using phones or texts as our means of communication, specifically if we think there's a rules and regulations violation. Obviously, when we saw a Confederate flag flying up, properly displayed in our building, we handled it the way it was supposed to be handled.
Right. Got it, Randy.
Specifically through our property manager.
Okay,
Right.
thank you. Randy, Randy, I'm gonna move on. I'm gonna close this topic for discussion. I apologize to everyone. We've gotten
Good.
way further than I had hoped to. As an
Where was the
approval,
Confederate
I'd like
flag
to move
flying?
forward. I'd like to move forward
David.
with approvals under architectural. There was a
What's-
architectural review of a
Where was the
change
Confederate
of
flag
tile,
flying?
in the floor on the third floor east, limited common areas in front of the elevator.
It's liars.
That was reviewed by 3 individuals who all recognized that it met the criteria and had approved that, so I'd like to have someone make a motion to accept that as
approve it?
submitted. Yeah,
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve 301, 02, and 03 to install new entryway hallway tile.
and do I have a second? Okay, Izzy made the motion, Ben made the second. Can we get a vote? All board members present, Randy?
Aye.
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 Motion carried unanimously. Now, I'd like to turn it over to open session, starting with Cliff Summers.
Randy, you wanna be part of this?
Yeah. you can drop it. I want to be on this part of this.
So many people.
Well,
You're using that 3 minutes pretty slow, you know.
Yeah.
Jesus, come on, Cliff, let's move it along.
yeah, I figure, I've got 3 minutes per issue.
He's a lawyer.
That's what it
You can
says.
use my minutes.
Lawyers take it softly.
I'm trying to figure out how to say this. Guys, I'm disappointed in what I've been hearing here about the whole board. I am. I'm seriously disappointed about this board. I see evidence that this board is doing things behind the scenes. I see evidence that this board is not receptive to overtures from the owners. I see evidence that there are people on this board who believe they can get business done better if they don't have to hear from the owners. I don't like that. I was president of this association for 7 years, and I thought that was long enough for me to ever stand up and speak in this kind of a session again. And I wouldn't be standing here if I didn't think I had no other choice. I don't want to be here. I don't want to interfere with this board's business. I want this association to run smoothly, but there is just too much that I don't like. And, you know, we're not talking about the rules, so I won't talk about them. But I know that this board knew better than to pass these rules the way you did. And the fact that you want to wait to have some more legal advice before you talk about it doesn't imbue me with much in the way of confidence. I'm unhappy about all this. The dock leases. Say what you want. This is a way that those who have less than 6 years left on their lease now magically have another 6 years.
You can't do that. That's illegal.
And that looks very self-serving to me. All right? I care about that not because I have a boat, but because it bears on the value of my property should I want to sell it. All right? That's another one. Guys, surely you know you cannot grandfather somebody in. You can't do that. You can't grandfather somebody into a situation that was already against the rules.
Specifically?
You want me to be
Yes,
specific?
be specific, so we know, everybody should know what you're talking about.
No,
I'm talking about
No, I'll approach that.
grandfathering.
You don't have to go any further. We got a legal opinion from the association attorney who says it's absolutely legal.
Yeah.
Sorry. I understand your feelings and I'm trying to be respectful of your time. I don't want to take any of your
I'm
time.
not gonna take much more of your time. As far as this secret meeting stuff, I don't know who called it a secret meeting. It has been called an executive meeting. As far as I know, it took place somewhere in this room. And as far as I know, there were at least 4 board members present. And as far as I know, okay, at least 4. As far as I know, there was discussion about the operation of the association. And assuming that's true, it is in violation of law.
What was discussed though, Cliff? I don't remember any, and I'm being as honest as I can, I don't remember any items of discussion. There were just general bad.
I know, I was discussed.
I don't.
I think that there are other things discussed. I want to tell you something. I'm a little bit leery of this recording myself, and I have not listened to it. So I want you to know what I know about it is secondhand, and that's why I'm stating it in a rather general way. But there is a recording. Insofar as secretly recording it, if it's taking place in an open area, if it involves anything about the operation of the association, and if it involves the members of the board of directors, then under the law, anyone who is an owner can record it. Okay?
Thank you.
But as far as it being a secret meeting, I don't know how you could call it secret, not when there were so many people present. So I would not call it secret at all. This business with the cameras. Guys, you knew you couldn't do that. You knew you couldn't do that. And then you took them down, and now you want more advice from your lawyers. You already had advice from your lawyers not to do that. I have a problem with this business of repurposing the office. That's a material alteration. Guys, you need to be more receptive to the requirements of procedural and even substantive laws, rules, and regulations. That's what's come to me, okay?
Okay, thank you.
And
Can I respond?
Final statement.
Can I respond?
Yeah, if I can just have this final statement.
Certainly.
I'm unhappy with it, and unless I can be assured that I don't have anything to worry about, there's a good chance none of you guys are gonna be on the board anymore.
Appreciate that, thank you.
Okay, Cliff.
Okay, number 1, this is a voluntary board. None of us are professional board members. Number 2, none of us are attorneys. Number 3, we rely advice from our management company and our attorneys. Everything we do goes through our management company and our attorneys. Your beef with this board, duly noted, I understand. I'm willing and I have offered in open session to talk with any one individual, one-on-one, at any time, and I've always reached out to you to talk to you. Whenever you have an issue, I would expect you would reach to me to talk to me, instead of an open forum chewing us out. We have apologized about the meeting. We have tried to not discuss until we get further legal advice because we have been challenged legally about several issues that are under advisement, and we have been advised not to speak about it. You insist on speaking about it, but I will not. So I appreciate your position. I am happy to talk with you one-on-one, confidentially, but upon the advice of our attorney of the association to protect it, I cannot speak in open forum. Plain and simple. Happy to talk to you. That's my response. And I hope we can build your trust back up, because there is a lot of misinformation about us in general and us specifically being distributed in a venomous manner. And I'll leave it at that.
And I'll respond to you, Cliff,
Thank
because,
you.
I've been on 3 boards since I've been here. I've been on Cliff's board. Always issues at every board meeting, not his fault, it's a board meeting. I've been on Alan's board, always issues at every meeting, not his fault, it's a board meeting. And I've been on Dr. McDonald's board, issues, not his fault, it's a meeting. There hasn't been one board, I'm only here like 6 years, there hasn't been one board I sat on that we haven't had issues from tenants, owners, or issues in general, whether it's security, whether it's this boat thing. Seriously? We're still doing this? This is like, how many years have we been dealing with the boat crap? We're still on it. Here's another issue. It was from Cliff's days and Jim's days and Mark's days. And then the next thing was Alan's board, redo the leases for 7 years. Here it is again. Every board has issues, Cliff. You know that. I've been in business 37 years. You've been an attorney a long time.
47.
Okay. Every board has had an issue. Never a person, there's never anybody happy. It's a voluntary position. It sucks, but we do the best we can. Really. People make mistakes. People bang at night when they shouldn't be doing it after 5 o'clock. I know. It's about, what are you gonna do? Go, knock on the guy's door. Say, would you stop? People do other things. You spend $50 for a party. People get upset because you spend $50 for a welcome for a party for some tenants. You're never gonna win. You know this. You know this. You're never gonna win. I'm happy to be on this board. Vote me off. I don't really care. I do it because I want to see things. I only am on this board because I like my vote to count. That's the only reason I'm on it. I'm not saying that your votes don't count, but it doesn't until you get on the board. Run for the board. Come on in. Take the crap that we take. And Cliff's a great guy, but taking his shit tonight, not a problem. It's a board. You got it when you were president. You got it when you were VP. You got it. This is what you get. It stinks. But you know what? I like being on the board because I like to see if I can help and see if we can make decisions. Nobody does secret meetings. A secret meeting, like Cliff said, the secret meeting, we're right here. Secret meeting would be, let's go over to the Waffle House and talk without anybody knowing. That's a secret meeting, not 1 minute after the board adjourns, we talk in general. Big deal. Come on. There's nothing that great about this place to be secretive. Nobody's winning billions of dollars. Nobody's buying the boat of the year. Nobody, it's a gossip wagon. It's no big deal. I know I'm loud. I know that I state my opinion, but we do the best we can for the pay that we get. And you've been there, back there, you've been there. So let me tell you something. It's a shit job, but we take it because we try to do what's best for the community. Sometimes we make mistakes. Granted, with the camera thing, we wanted to do the best. Now we found that it wasn't right, so we're going to see if we can do it by law. If not, then we can't do it. No big deal. We're going to try, though, because the safety of this area is great. It should be a priority, but it's not my decision. I'm only 1 vote out of 6 or 7.
And I want to say also.
And I'm not going to leave it, though. I love being on your board.
Yep.
I did. It was the first board I was on, and it was an experience other than me being a president of the board where I lived for 10 years. I love being on Alan's board because it was a lot more stuff going on, and I like this one. But it is what it is. It stinks sometimes, but nobody should be at each other's throat for this stuff, that we're doing the best we can. And you, as a president for 7 years, you took shit all day long at these board meetings. It is what it sucks.
I can show you lots of writings worse
Yeah.
than anything.
And let me tell you, there's threats to people, and look, we're adults. Let me leave it at this. We're adults. People threaten people. This building has restraining orders. Come on, this is like, really?
Well,
This
as
is
a board, could you guys answer his questions?
Whose?
Yes.
Yeah, we did.
In
We're
all
just
honesty,
rebutting.
open
Yeah.
session 3 minutes,
It's really-
owners stand up,
They talk.
you
But why
state
not
your,
use this to resolve issues?
It's- the board has the right
We
to
just
be
listened
prepared to
Izzy forever.
answer. So,
That's
and
what
you've
it
got
is.
6
Could you
other
guys
people.
answer his questions though?
No, they don't have to
They're just-
answer.
they're just-
Wanda, I'm not asking
No.
you.
I
No, they're
understand.
not gonna answer his questions.
Gotta let him say.
They're not gonna
Why
answer his
aren't you gonna
questions.
answer his questions?
He was only making
It's
statements.
awful
Well,
if you
He
don't
was
answer
making
the
statements. He
question.
wasn't asking
He's
questions.
asking
Open
questions about
session.
pieces.
I'm offering to meet with you one-on-one and go over every single thing you.
Yeah, that you're concerned about.
That
Not
you're concerned about.
If you're concerned about Lisa, not a
I'm happy to
problem. We
meet
meet with you
anybody.
too.
Thank you.
But-
I don't wanna fight with people.
I don't either. Thank you.
Okay,
That's my-
anybody else?
All I have. Next 3 minutes.
All right, let me make sure, let me understand this. As far as the minutes are available, the last minutes I got was November.
That's correct. We approved tonight December, January, and February, with exception of the 2 corrections that I noted had to be made, which I will make tomorrow. And then I will submit those to Rhonda by email attachment. before we
Okay,
close
so
the business
since I have
tomorrow.
requested them from her, I should probably get them fairly soon,
That's,
because that's a long time. Is there a reason why we haven't gotten minutes
we
in
have them tonight.
4 or 5 months?
We have the drafts tonight. We're working on them.
No, you have to send a certified, have you guys done anything about the accessibility of minutes yet?
This is a brand-new board. We are learning. We have been advised by our attorney to get the minutes out, get them published, and that's what we're doing.
Right, this is only our 3rd meeting.
we're trying.
Okay, thank you. I had a question about the boat leases. You said that there was.
And Paula, it shouldn't be an act of God to get minutes. If you ask for them, you should have them. Give or take a week. It should be, you know.
Is he, it is for the past year.
Okay, but it shouldn't be, you know,
I agree,
you know,
yes.
and if you ask for it, I don't know if
Please
they have to be certified or not, I'm not like
Yeah,
that, but
please fix
if
that.
they have to be certified, send it, if it's not,
It
then,
doesn't have to be.
you know,
It
then
shouldn't-
just
it
get them,
shouldn't
yeah.
have to be that
It's
way.
public information for this condo.
It should be no big deal, but it's been a chore. It's been.
Yes, I
I've been-
understand.
Trying to figure it out. There it is.
Go ahead, go ahead.
Okay, the next thing I had a question about the boat lease, which I guess I didn't quite understand. You said they changed some ambiguousness. I know there were some questions about, the language. It was, singular. Everything was a boat, a this, a that. My understanding is new lease contains a one boat per slip.
That was not discussed. I'll be happy to meet with you individually and go over all that.
I mean, one
as well.
vessel per slip.
Yes.
That was not discussed by the attorney, and I'll be happy to sit with you in one-on-one and go over any of the concerns
Okay,
you have on
okay,
that.
that's fine,
Yeah,
but I
I'm
was
happy.
I understood that to be a point that was to be addressed.
I don't know where you got that from, but that was not discussed tonight at the meeting.
Okay.
But we can discuss it with you whenever you want.
Yeah, I'm happy
So it's
to.
not in the lease. That part of the lease is the language.
I'm happy to go
that
over these
hasn't been
specifics,
changed.
but I read the changes in the lease.
I can request a copy of it.
And I've got a copy, you can take it with you, I don't.
I have it, no,
Okay.
but I just thought that language.
And that's an iffy topic though, by the way, because like a person like in my older days, I would have two jet skis. Does that mean you can't have two vessels on a bunk, you know, or do you only can have one jet ski, or can you have like one boat, but you can't have two jet skis or a
Kayak,
paddle
a
boat and a
boat.
kayak? I don't know. I
Well,
mean, so
maybe
we have to
should get
kind of,
more than- Maybe we should get more than one payment then, if we have more than one vessel.
well, it's one lease though. It's
This
one
is all
lease.
discussion about leases.
And then the
It's only one
boat
word
lease also,
clause.
the documents also say that a jet ski can't be launched from the dock.
I'm aware of that, we're addressing that as well.
Okay,
But
all right.
I'm happy to talk with you individually.
That was all.
Any concerns you have on that, please.
Okay, and I thought since the attorney had corrected the language, I was hoping that was something that he had corrected. As far as I had wanted to ask this of, Randy, but he's not here, as far as the late fees and the late dues and all that other stuff, does that pertain to the dock lease as well?
There's no late fee or anything about the dock lease that I know of.
Cause we've
Where are
had
you
a
getting
dock
that
lease,
in the
we've had
dock
a dock.
lease? It says something about late fees?
No,
No, I
she's
don't,
asking if it does, it
Oh.
does
Why
not.
not?
I don't remember it saying that at all.
We've
I'm
had
not sure
one
where
dock
you-
lease and has been delinquent since I've been getting financials.
Paula, I don't think this lease says anything about delayed.
It should.
And anything else?
That's it.
Thank you. Okay, the next person, Lisa.
Okay, why are the new leases not being retroactive? Why are you not beginning them? If you've already been here for 3 years, it's not quite fair.
Well, nobody's been here 3 years on the existing 12-month lease, for number one, but go ahead with your
Well,
question.
they're currently 7-year leases.
They are not, they're not enforceable 7 years, they're only enforceable for 12 months.
Somebody's had a boat out there for 3 or 4 years.
No, they've had them there for 10 years,
So you're now gonna give that individual 6 more years?
with 2 empty boat slips?
Oh,
I don't see
is
an
that what
issue.
you have? You have
I don't
two
see an
empty-
issue.
slips, yeah.
Yeah,
you do have
there's
two
2 available
empty
for anybody who wants them. If you want one, get it.
Yeah, and that would be a
What's-
6-year lease.
I don't understand your question still.
I didn't know we had empty.
We have 2 empty
I
slips.
thought you had a waiting
If-
list.
No, it'd be good for people to know what we have to raise the issue. I appreciate
Yes,
that.
that's why I
Yeah,
want
we have
answers.
2 empty
appreciate
slips, and I'll tell you where they are. They're right between the final pier on the left, like towards your place, on the left, the final pier. There's a piece that can slip in there between Paul's boat and
Number
the
11?
and the
Number 12.
other side of that pier,
Ah.
which
Number
looks
11,
like
number
it's
12.
not. It looks like it's just empty water, but
Okay.
that could be another slip put in. So the last 2, if you go in order, starting with Steve Freeman's, he's number 1. Up to number 12, 11 and 12 are empty, closest to your house. to
And
your
ready
apartment.
for availability by.
There's nothing built there,
So
though.
there's no waiting list?
There is no waiting
Correct.
list.
Ah,
There
okay,
hasn't been a
great.
waiting list in over a year. Actually, there wasn't a waiting list, just so you know, about a year and a half, 2 years ago, when we finally got that other lease set. After we were having issues, we had nobody who even wanted them.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Can we move on?
Yeah, we can move, but I want to answer a question.
I do too,
You
I
know.
want to.
Okay.
Anything else?
Next question, I have written Rhonda, and I have 9 emails to Rhonda.
Yeah.
Asking her, for the removal of the mannequin. I have not gotten, let me finish, I have not gotten one response.
That's right.
I have 7 emails currently directly to Rhonda, not one response,
That's right.
asking for a file that was sent to me that was zipped. And she's got marked on there urgent information about Mariner. 7 emails, no response from Rhonda.
I
9
agree
emails
that.
about the mannequin, no response.
I go for it.
I need to know why my issues as an owner are not being addressed.
I was unaware of that, and I will definitely follow up on that.
No,
I-
I need an answer.
I don't have an answer.
Well,
What can I
she's
tell
right
you if I
there.
don't know?
Where we
She's
go to
right there.
complain?
I
It's not
haven't-
the truth.
Where we send a
Oh, I
message
can
I
to?
have, I can show you every email I've answered you with,
Rhonda, I can pull it up.
Okay, this.
and I
this
can
is
pull
not
it
the
up
forum.
too.
This is not the forum to respond.
No,
I've
We did
answered
the
you
same
every
thing.
time you've asked me.
Then why,
Never get an answer.
really? Then why is the
Phone
mannequin
call, we
still there?
call.
'Cause I don't have one
We
email
call.
from you.
I don't even know your name, I'm sorry.
I do not have one email response, but just this morning, look, I have emailed you
You're
9
referring to
times.
the rules and regulations
I'm
in the
referring to
mannequin.
the eyesore, the mannequin that's out there, that I lost a potential tenant because of the eyesore. 9
Rules and
emails,
regulations,
you have not
The
responded
rules and
one time.
regulations are not active.
Well, according to David,
You
Larry, he
can't-
isn't even
Rhonda,
notified of that.
You know better. As
We-
somebody in real estate, you know better.
Time
You
out.
can't
I
say
am not
they're
law
not
enforcement.
active.
I am not your legal team.
This meeting is
The
fixing to be
letter hasn't
adjourned
even
for
been
being out
sent
of
to the
order.
resident.
If you don't get into order,
Your only issue when you come here constantly is me, and quite frankly, I'm tired of it.
Good.
Okay, goodbye.
Here, you can take
Goodbye.
this, and you can take it as my 30-day resignation. You people have driven me out of my mind.
No, and I'm
How
sorry,
can you do that?
but I will
That's not the
apologize for that,
management.
but I currently have, and I can.
I think the next is
I will
me.
forward
your 3 minutes
them-
are up. I'm sorry. I really am.
David, I will forward them to you. I have 9 emails that
I
have
am
not been
trying
responded
to do the best I
I
can.
know that.
I am trying to work with management, with attorneys, with individual homeowners,
Have you
with
approached the
mass
individual himself?
attacks by
That
venomous
is not the
homeowners,
way it's supposed to be
and
done.
we are
I'm just
not
asking you.
being,
I have not.
No.
I am following the rules. Let me finish.
apparently we're
Let me
changing
finish, David.
management companies.
Let
I
me
cannot
finish.
address this without knowing what I'm
I
talking
didn't
about.
interrupt you. Why are you interrupting me?
Because I've called to order, the 3 minutes are up, that's why. That's
But
per
you
the
allowed
agenda
him
items.
12 minutes.
Cliff, I apologize for allowing you extra minutes.
Why don't we
That
say
was my
what we
error.
need to address
Okay,
this as
let me
quickly
just
as
say what I have
possible?
to address.
Please.
Please. When somebody here as an owner is following the rules and regulations, we are not supposed to email you. We are not supposed to give our complaints to you. That's why we have a management company.
Correct.
We are
That's right.
supposed to email our complaints to the management company. I currently have 9 emails that have never been responded to about the mannequin, and I lost a potential tenant because of that. I currently have 7 emails that have never been responded to. Never. I can forward them to you because I simply keep replying
got a
to the
point.
same emails, and I can show you that I've never had a response. You have asked us, Mr. Long, not to send, you've even said in this meeting, I'm not gonna respond to emails anymore. You shouldn't, it's not your job. That's why we pay a management company. So,
Apparently we
it's
don't
not
pay her
your
enough.
problem, it's her problem.
Correct.
Apparently we don't pay her enough, and she just gave her 30-day notice, so we don't currently have a management company
Well, we do for 30 days,
for 30 days.
That's a good
but,
thing.
you know.
Okay, Linda Bernstein. Where's Linda?
Right here.
Oh, right out in front and
I
center.
just wanted to make sure that we have the proper, okay to go ahead with our new floor in our little foyer area.
We approved
That was
it.
approved tonight.
We approved it.
Okay. Thank
Okay, was that it?
Yeah.
Mr. Ho,
I'm here. Okay.
thank you.
Yeah, my same questions. You know, about a month and 2 ago, the box over there, the glass is really smoking. You cannot see the letters. Who is who? I don't know if you notice or not. They repaired.
It's
I
up there.
call Rhonda.
What is it?
The call box is.
Oh, the
different.
call
Yeah,
box.
call box.
Okay, I'm sorry. I
Yeah,
didn't-
I called Rhonda, and she said, "Oh, Rhonda's not here." So I told the lady over there. I told her who I am, a name. I said, Because we keep on getting phone calls from downstairs. Open the door for me, open the door for me. It's not my
I
delivery.
received 6 times.
6 times 1 day because they couldn't see. They just punch any numbers.
But I think it's been fixed though.
Yeah.
But I didn't
but
get
in
any
between,
response.
there's no response.
Correct. Understand.
There's no response. I keep on getting bothered.
That's right. I talked
We
to
got
you.
it, we got it fixed.
Yeah.
Yeah, remember
But
that? So,
she never answered us anything.
Yes,
I know,
so
I-
in
I
between,
follow
I keep on getting
Yes,
calls.
yes.
I'm waiting, what's going
Okay.
on, what's going on there?
Okay.
So the anxiety there. Okay, second, now let this go now, they already fixed now. Second questions. You know, every year we have a budget coming out, right? And is the board supposed to follow the budget, whatever proposed? Does the board have a right to spend any money they wanted to, or what is the right of the board?
Well, I can tell you
I'm
what
not
has
attorney,
been
I don't
done
know.
in the past. I can't tell you what the board has a right to do or not, but the board in the past has spent money willy-nilly based upon the president's decision to spend money and then instruct the management company to write checks. And the board as a group was not involved in many of the large transactions. Carlos, you can shake your head all you want. The board was not advised.
That is not true.
But what
From
I think
my
is this,
perspective,
you
that
should
is
have
true.
certain limits.
From
Let's
other
say
board
for
members.
Alan spend money that wasn't in the budget. Okay,
And-
with regard to an
I'm
emergency.
sorry, you're out of order right now.
I probably am most
Okay,
of my
thank
time.
you.
I'm out
So
of
just
order.
my question is
And so
this,
Yes, sir.
what
But
the
to my
board
knowledge-
power to spend the money, the amount, maybe it's just small money you cannot, you know,
Yes.
cannot, certain amount, you
That is
maybe had to get
outlined
approved.
in the Articles of Incorporation, as well as the Declaration of Condominium and all of the documents. Yes, all of that information is in there.
Just so you know,
Yeah.
Mr. Ho, sometimes we vote on additional items that come to light from residents who, I'm just using an example, that they want to, the parking lot striping is old and they want it redone, and so residents make complaints or thoughts, and then the board brings it up at a board meeting, whether it was the old board or the older board, or the new board says, okay, well, let's go out and bid parking lot striping for $3,000 or $4,000. That's not petty cash, that's a lot of money. And then the board decides, okay, it seems like some people want to see this cleaned up better, maybe black topped or whatever, and white stripes. And we vote for, does the board, Rhonda would go out and get 2 or 3 bids. This is January now, February, we get the bids. We vote on it in March. It's always a big thing here, whatever. It could take an hour, but it's a big thing. And then we vote on it in March, and the board says we approve $6,218 to have the parking lot black topped and white stripes. Did the board approve? And the board says, yes, we do. And we have spent $6,200 of your money, our money. That does happen from time to time because some things are necessary that just happen to come up and people ask. And we say, okay, let's talk about it and see if we can fix it for
There's
the
unforeseen
rest of the
maintenance
people.
issues that happen.
Yeah, sure.
all
And
the
it's
time.
not always maintenance, but it's,
I think
you know.
maybe it should be a dollar sign amount,
There
exceed
is.
so much amount.
Mr. Ho,
There
I'm
is.
just gonna give you the legal
Uh-huh.
jargon. If you look under Florida statutes,
Okay.
718.
Okay.
302, 718-302. They are allowed to spend up to $10,000
Okay, that's good enough.
without anyone's permission.
Okay.
Not that we
And
want
I
to,
understood
but,
it
you
as
know.
discretionary spending at that limit, and I
It is-
defined it as
Right.
discretionary
it is for-
spending.
Okay.
It is for
I have a
maintenance,
question.
emergency repairs. You are allowed to spend up to $10,000
Okay.
by Florida law.
And anything above that,
She
you
has
have
one
to
question.
have an assessment of some sort.
Emergency.
I want to know about the camera. Where is the location?
It's
To which
took it out
spot?
already.
They have taken them down.
Took it
There are
out.
no cameras.
No
there are
more
no
camera now,
locations.
so you
We're
can't.
not discussing that.
It's
Right.
gone.
Okay.
Is your name Ting Young Ling?
No.
That's Ting Young Ling.
Yes.
Please.
I have first is related to Rhonda. I received email from Rhonda saying that I supposed to pay up my dog fee. I never rent a dog. Okay.
Not to my knowledge,
And then I
you have-
responded to her saying that I don't, and she did not say
Yeah.
yes or no
Yeah,
or
but-
Right, well,
real
that
or
was just a
true or
mistake,
not.
obviously.
Okay, that's first things that related to Rhonda.
We'll bill you for it anyway.
Okay, you will bill me, I know, but I will not
Appreciate
pay
that
for it.
contribution.
Second, I received this so-called change of my rules and regulations. I thought we are going to discuss it, but anyway, I look at it, it's pretty reasonable to me. However, one thing is, how are you going to enforce it? That means if I find something out of the rule, whom I'm going to report to.
Without a management company, it's difficult.
It is, no, because like today, the front door was pop open. If I don't report it right away,
Correct.
that means it's no use. If I wait to wonder 3 days later, there's no use about that.
Has to be a timely response, I agree.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Who am I going to report to?
It
Now,
should
the
go
other
to the
thing,
property manager.
huh?
It should go to the property manager.
Who's the property
Well,
manager?
and currently, we have a property manager. She's still here for 30 days. At
But-
this moment,
but
we still
it's-
have
But it's
one.
no use, because she's off.
We understand.
Well, you understand, but you have to
You're-
fix it.
You're correct. You
Okay,
are correct.
thank you.
And we know that.
Another thing, again, is that the thing that a worker worked till 5:30 yesterday, making noise. I personally go out and tell him, it's 5:30.
Correct.
Okay, now, first time, I don't want to report to anybody.
Right.
However, if this happen again, whom I'm going to report to?
Property manager again.
Again, this is timely manner. After our property manager has useless.
Yeah.
And somebody here would suggest one of the board members should take the responsibility.
Would you volunteer to be the enforcement agent of the mayor?
No, I don't.
Okay, nobody here will.
Nobody does.
But,
No, I know.
but-
The question is, who do you go to?
exactly,
After
I want to know
hours,
who's going to.
All I could tell you is this, if you have a problem and there's some noise being made after hours and it disturbs you and it's after, I think it's 4:30 or 5, I'm not sure.
4:30 here.
If it's after 4:30, give or take 10 or 20 minutes because we're all
I give
human,
an hour
then you
already.
can knock on my door, I'm usually here, and I'll do
Okay.
the best I can. I will be happy to
Thank
call
you.
that person. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yes,
Your
I'm not
name
giving you my
is?
number, but you can knock on my door. No.
May I say something briefly?
I am
Yes.
on 703.
703, thank you.
You're welcome to, anybody. I would always
I
be
certainly
happy
will.
to ask the other person who's making the noise if they could maybe, it's an hour later, 40 minutes, it's enough already.
Because in the past, I
We all
just
do
called.
construction and it's a pain in the ass.
We get it.
And it stinks.
I
Even when they're
agree.
in my own house, I don't like it. But
Thank you.
Yeah, and you're welcome to come to me
I
anyway.
entered the building yesterday about 4:45, the door was open, and two workers were there, and I said, I think I said something like, are you gentlemen ready to wrap up the day, or? you know,
Right,
that-
and that's that should be.
And they said, I didn't even look at the wall watch, but I now realize it's around 4:45, because I normally don't get home around 6. But anyway, they said, we ran into, we thought we were gonna be done much earlier, we ran into a problem. Now, I didn't ask them what the problem was, I didn't think about it being a problem that's not gonna be rectified at 5:30. But I know the same thing happened to us, and that, I didn't think it was the gentleman at the time, had another name for him, came knocking on our door, and we've been here 2 or 3 days, because some work we were having done, I think this plumbing work was running late, and it had to be fixed. And
Other
there was
than
a
an
noise-
emergency,
There was a
correct.
noise being made, but it had to be fixed, or we're gonna have water everywhere, or no water. So, but I do know, had someone come to me yesterday, even though I would say I don't respond to emails, had anyone in this building come to me as a director and said, can you deal with that issue? I would have done that.
Yeah,
I
you're
consider that-
welcome.
I consider that a different
Okay.
situation.
You're welcome to
than
come to me,
emails.
anybody is.
But I do think
for the most
legitimately,
part.
they did run into an issue that had to be resolved, or they
I'll
couldn't get the
volunteer,
doors
but
back
who
on.
I'm volunteering.
I have one question, one thing is
Drink that
out of
water.
order, just say real quick.
Sure, yeah.
The front door is kind of sticking because of wood.
Yes.
So expanding, shrink it, when they very much moisture, it stick. It never,
Right.
sometimes do not close. I just want to let you
We
people
just
know.
had this door refinished, it doesn't
Yeah.
stick by 1/8 of an inch.
Okay.
This one's
And
scheduled.
you need seal better.
This one
So
was
maybe
scheduled.
seal off the no moisture.
Yeah, those are the things that,
They are sealed.
They're
Once they
scheduled.
get planed down, they get
Yes.
resealed.
Yeah, okay. That's why I say a little
Yeah.
sticky here.
again to the door, the side door, the steel door,
Yes.
when it's very windy, it doesn't close either. Maybe the spring is not strong
And this again
enough.
is something that you should call the management company that we currently have to tell her to get the guy out here to fix the
Okay.
door. I agree 100%.
I talked to
we do the
Mary,
same thing.
well,
It's
when
not
Mary
the
was
same
here.
thing.
It's not a board issue unless it becomes a
Okay.
problem.
Well,
It's
you are.
not a Mary issue.
But you would call the property manager.
But the property manager doesn't answer.
Well, that's why maybe she's gone. But, you know.
Thank you. If
I agree, I
the
understand.
new,
If
that's
she's
the
leaving, I'm
problem
not
I have.
regretting. I'm not
Listen,
regretting.
this is the
Never
best we
there.
can afford here. You know, I don't know what to tell you, you know? But you know, we're obviously gonna be making some changes. You heard it
Thank you.
live tonight, so.
Thank you, then. Thank you.
Yeah. Anything else?
Yeah, can I just say one thing?
Sure.
Relevant to this issue of the property manager. Guys, if you want a property manager who's on site, then we gotta pay for a property manager who's on site,
This is what's gonna happen.
Let's do that.
okay?
Yep.
I don't know whether you want to pay for an on-site property manager, but
Day-to-day property managers are expensive.
Right, but he's even saying after 5 o'clock, that person goes home, but they should be responsible to have a
On-call.
beeper, a telephone
Right.
beeper,
Right.
1980, or have a phone that they can fix something after hours. And that would be something that you should maybe bring up at a meeting so we can put it on an agenda to discuss if that's the way that this
Okay.
company wants to
I
go.
would bring it up because in the past, I just pick up the phone and call the president. Okay, and things are done.
Yeah, but you know what?
Well, you know who
I
I'm
understand,
talking about.
I understand, but that was,
But
one
somebody
person
has to be
can't just
doing
run the whole
that.
place, you know?
Well,
That's why a
it-
manager's supposed to be able to fix these
Yeah,
things,
we're
but
Well,
supposed to have a
no,
manager.
if elected officer is not taking responsibility from the resident, how is this going to be done? You have to keep
Right.
paying people to do it.
well, but you don't, and not everybody wants to go out and fix a fountain. I certainly
No,
don't.
but at least they know about it.
Right, you're right, you're correct.
May I say
Yes.
something? You know, I was on
Your
board
meeting.
for 7 years when Greenacre was,
Right.
our property manager. And, we had times when we had a broken, door for the shoot room, for the garbage shoot room. And we had no door for 3 months, something like that. I mean, you're gonna have, no matter what property manager you have, they can't be expected to respond immediately to everything unless it's an emergency.
Right.
They
And I-
can't be. They're, you know.
And the grass is greener is always the case, and you're
Yeah,
right. And we've been through Greenacre, you had Greenacre, we have Rhonda, there's probably 25, 30 years ago, who else was it that they left to go to Greenacre? Who knows, the place is 50 years old. You've probably been through a handful of property managers. And on a small property, it's hard because there's not the budget to handle this for like a 400 unit place on Bay Shore where you have a budget of that size.
My maintenance fee go up $100 a month.
Well, just yours is going up. Just yours, Jim.
Well, that sounds like a good idea.
Just yours. Since you like bread so much.
I only have 2 minutes of my own 2 minutes. I'm sorry to be bringing this up, but I have to put this out there again because it happened again today. Our employee, our maintenance employee, Mary, is being abused by a tenant, a resident.
We don't want to lose her either.
No, we don't.
We
Okay.
don't, so I
From
don't,
what I
you know.
understand, this is what I heard, from what I understand, if we do lose her, Gator Services is not gonna put anybody out here. They don't wanna have anything to
There's a
do
million
with this anyway.
janitorial services out in Tampa, but we
I'm
don't
sure
want to
you
lose
are.
Mary. I
Excuse-
believe
I
everybody
don't-
here.
Okay,
Right.
if we don't wanna lose Mary, then we need to get rid of the person that is abusing her.
Paul, it's not that easy.
I'm not saying
Believe me.
easy,
I
I'm
know.
just putting it out there.
I know, I
so
agree.
Everybody knows it happened again.
I know, every other day.
Today.
Every other day.
So please tell me that you guys are doing, you don't have to tell me what specifically.
We are working on it.
But please tell me you are doing this and it will come to an end.
I'd love to tell you that.
Can't tell you.
I wish it would. I wish I could tell you.
It's
No,
awful.
I know, and nobody wants to see this woman leave. She's a very
Everybody
decent
loves
person.
her, but nobody's got her back.
We really do have her back.
Nobody's got her
Okay, let's
back.
just,
We really
let's just
She's
say,
been
I mean, what do
abused
you,
by she's been abused by this particular resident
what
for
would
a
you,
year.
what do you do?
Going on 2.5
What do you do, Paul? What's your own suggestion?
You know what, I will, if you will let me, and then here's what I'm afraid is gonna happen, okay? Cause I honestly think if this woman, Mary, if she goes and gets an attorney, and she sues us for a harmful harassment or hostile work environment, it's gonna be all our asses on the line because she's gonna win.
Well,
We
what would
could be
you, I
sued
asked
out
you
the
one
end.
question. I am on your side. What would you, what's your answer to this?
Let's notice that we do not employ Mary.
Correct.
That's correct.
Right, but she would sue us, she would
Right,
sue
but
the
what is your
homeowners
answer to this?
association, the
But
board,
Paula,
Gator
what is
sues
your
and
answer
everything.
to this?
Again, I'm not an attorney, I don't know.
No,
if
but
you
we
want
don't
to-
either. We're fighting the same battle you
Then
are.
somebody needs to find out.
She needs to go
Let's,
after the
let's
person
find,
involved
let's,
that's doing it.
excuse me just a second.
What-
Okay, we need to find out, what can we do to protect our employee? Suppose we get
Not our
another employee,
employee.
how are we gonna protect that other employee? You guys didn't
But
protect
they're
me
not
when he
employees.
came
That's
after me.
part of the problem. They don't work for Mariner South. They work for Gator.
They're
They're a
employed by
vendor.
Gator. They're
It's
a
like the
vendor.
FedEx guy. The same guy comes in every day in his purple shirt and he works for FedEx. He's just our vendor.
Okay, but is any of this related to Gator? Is there any kind of communication between,
There's been extensive communication with
Okay.
Gator.
well, why don't we work with Gator to see what we can all do
We're working with
together?
Gator.
We
to
are
see what we can do.
currently, like yesterday, like now. Believe me, we don't want, I don't think there's a person in this building that would raise their hand and say, wants to see Mary leave here.
Okay,
Maybe
if we
one
don't
person,
wanna leave,
maybe
we
one
have to-
person
then
who's
we
causing
have
the
to
issue.
protect her.
I
We have to
agree.
protect her.
I understand.
And we talk to her too every day, and it's, Mary, is everything okay? You're doing a great job. I mean, you can only do so much, but we're with you on it. It's just, you know.
As a summary, I want to say one thing. True, I have a different style of running a meeting, and true, I accepted the position of presidency. I did not nominate myself, but I was nominated, and I accepted this knowing it would be difficult to make this into a genuinely fair organization, and I knew I would get pushback, and I'm accepting that willingly. I'm here for the long run. I'm here to straighten us out and be as open and transparent in a one-on-one situation with anyone who approaches me. I will not be railroaded by a group of vindictive homeowners who have any other agenda than to see this association succeed and be a better place to live for
And you've been
everybody
through it
resident.
before, you've been through
For
it.
quiet enjoyment of their
Everybody has
own
who's
home.
been on a board.
That's why I chose to see if we can change things from how I viewed them to have been done in the past. And that's why I offered to serve. This is not a paid position, it's a volunteer, and it takes a lot of work on a daily basis.
We all know that.
We have a management company that has gone through a lot of difficulties in the change. I've asked a lot of our management company to step up. Up until tonight, we were making great strides and progress. I think it's a little overwhelming for the expectation of our homeowners to come expecting a radical change to happen overnight and to abide everybody under the same rules and regulations rather than some people. There's going to be exceptions. There's always going to be mistakes. This isn't the first board to make a mistake. This is the first president. And I openly admit, I'm acting as a president in a voluntary capacity. I'm not a day-to-day manager. I'm not an enforcement agent. I'm not a policeman. You can call me with anything you have to talk about the board one-on-one. I'm happy to. Anything else is handled through property management as it relates to the rules. Okay? Right now, we cannot enforce the rules. They're unenforceable. The 2004 rules are wrong. The rules that were discussed are under legal review and advice. That's all I can say about the rules. So if you break the rules, we hope you don't. We can't stop you.
Right, nothing we can do at this
But they
moment.
can be addressed.
Yes, absolutely.
We are addressing
Try
them.
to,
And we are addressing them as efficiently and quickly legally as we can to avoid further litigation and homeowner costs with attorney's fees.
Well, David, you.
That's our attempt to try to reduce attorney's fees.
David, you
and
personally
litigation.
told me that the issue of the mannequin has not even been addressed. And I've been asking about that for a year and a half, and so has everybody else.
It hasn't been resolved.
It hasn't been
You
resolved.
told me,
It has not been resolved.
You told me that that the management company has not even sent him a letter.
I don't know that to be true. Yeah, I don't know that to be true. I don't know that to be true. She's not here. I don't know. That was just to my knowledge. And I don't know. I didn't ask that specific
I was
question.
told that a letter went out.
And
Just so, I don't know, you know what, I don't know. I don't know that. I was told a letter went out.
But I don't get a copy of every letter that goes out to a homeowner.
I was told a letter went out. Here's the problem with Mariner, from Cliff's time and beyond and before. To enforce things, it's like an act of God, and it's hard to do it. It really is. I mean, what do you fine them $25? I'm just saying, what do you do that's going to make a dent in somebody? And I don't care if they're, whatever the problem is, forget the mannequin. It could be anything. It could be a person doing, I mean, what do you do? What do you do to enforce it? What do? You send a letter. They don't care. That person. You send a second letter. You threaten within the legal realm. And
Has that been done?
I'm not talking about anybody. I'm talking about anything. Not specific. I'm just saying, their hands are really tied. I've been on 3 boards here, 3 different presidents. They can bitch all they want. And I'm not saying you're bitching, but What do? You
I'll
send
tell
a,
what
you send a letter.
Would you like to know what you do?
Yes, yeah, tell
Okay,
me.
because I have 4 homeowners associations
Tell me
right
what,
now.
just tell me, don't tell me that, tell me what to
You are
do.
the only homeowners association that does not have fines.
Yeah.
You are the only one that does not
You know,
have fines.
we inherited this from last year.
Then we need to enforce it and change it.
I'm
In
trying
my
to-
neighborhood right
I'm
now.
trying to
You're right.
legally
paint
get
your- if you
rules
don't paint
through.
your mailbox
We
within the
can't
next
enforce
30
rules
days, you
that
get
are
a
right.
$100 fine.
You're right, and we have put this fine thing, we're trying to put together, but let's just say you're 100% right, and we wanna pay $50 fine. I'm just saying, you don't like the way she has her car parked, it always hits you, and Paula gets a $50, what do you do really if she doesn't pay her $50?
You put a
You put a
lien.
lien on their property,
Put a lien.
You're right, and that costs the association,
$25.
it's more than that, to go down and get this stuff
Okay.
done.
$25.
Yeah, you know, I don't know if everybody remember, there's a case in West Chase. Somebody put oversized boat or truck in the garage, it is the tail sticking out. Man, they put a lien against the property.
You're absolutely right.
They put, then on top of that, once put a lien, also attorney fee, they pay for it.
You're right.
Okay, I'm gonna call for adjournment, and we can all sit here as homeowners and not active as a board, but I have to leave. So we don't have, a quorum of the board members.
So can I motion to adjourn the meeting.
Can I have 3 minutes before you end it?
All present
Oh, you're supposed to sign it?
can vote aye or nay. Aye. The meeting is adjourned officially, and I have to leave, so we don't have a quorum.
And now it's public stuff. I agree with you, 110%. I don't see, I haven't, and you're right, I haven't seen any board enforce it ever. You know what I'm saying? I agree with you. I haven't seen any board enforce it.
$100 is a $100 fine.
I know, I know. In my old neighborhood with 12 homes, it was, the same thing, but I don't know, Lisa, because not one board has ever enforced it. You're right, we should. I've always been the guy who said, fuck them, make them pay. I agree.